me, baby.
I wanted to this is what I wanted to bring up, because when I first found out who you were, or you came up on my radar, was when you done the Baby Father podcast.
Okay, yeah.
And that story was wild.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you reposted it yesterday. You done a little clip, a 4-minute clip of it. Could you, for our listeners, do you mind doing a little insight of what that story was?
No, of course not. The Baby Fathers podcast, first of all, big up.
Which
DJ
is a great
Riddler.
podcast.
It's a great, it's a space for men to come on and tell their side of the story as a father. Like you hear you hear like the sides of like women, baby mothers talking about men of this and men of that. But the Baby Fathers was it's a podcast for men to talk about their side, really. And I was invited on and I spoke about my story.
So before you was invited on, did they have an idea of your story?
No.
So they didn't know what you was coming, because they were even watching it. They were like, "What?"
Yeah. Like, even the host DJ Riddler, he was just like, no. But it was story was really that wild. So, what do you want me to go into it? Do you want me to tell people?
Please, yes.
All right.
I would even like a little breakdown of it.
So, I was in a relationship for 10 years with my son's mum.
Okay.
She had a daughter for someone else before I got with her. I think I got with her when her daughter was about 4.
Okay.
3, 4. And then about 3 years later, we had our son. We were living together. I decided, okay, cool, time to make it official. So I proposed.
Wonderful. Love that.
Took her to Mauritius.
Okay.
In the middle of the Indian Ocean on a catamaran boat. Aww. You know, did the whole romantic thing.
Than that, do you really?
And then so we were engaged, and during that time, because I was like main breadwinner of the house, you know, doing all the man stuff.
Being the man.
And I said, okay, so we were still renting at that time. So I said, should we be saving for a wedding or a house?
Right.
So we had that conversation. We decided we were going to save for a house. So I said, okay, save for a house. So about a year or so into the engagement, I got like a inbox message.
Okay.
Now her family are from St. Lucia. So I got an inbox message.
You see how she looked at me when you said that?
Big up St. Lucia.
From this random person saying, your baby mother's out here. Because I was always working. So
Nice.
I didn't go. She was taking out the children, St. Lucia, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, she's out here with this guy. And I'm like, who are you? And they were like, don't worry about who I am. You need to worry about your baby mother, because she's out here with
So just an anonymous person.
Anonymous person. No, I could see the picture, but I didn't know who they were.
Got ya.
Do you know what I mean? And so I was like, So then I called her when she was in St. Lucia. Who was this guy? She was like, she maintained that it was a family friend. It's not like that. People are lying, blah, blah, blah. But apparently he was telling people that this is his woman. So then she got back. It was a whole frosty situation when she got back. I didn't have any evidence of anything, because she maintained her innocence. But it was just weird. And then something...
Right.
So did you feel a vibe when she came back?
Something in me said there's something off here.
Yeah.
And so I come to find out later on down the line that we were engaged. She got engaged to the other man.
Imagine, some people are waiting to be engaged once. And
yeah. She actually had a whole affair relationship going on with this guy in St. Lucia that I had no idea about. And so...
Did he know about you?
Yeah, he knew about me.
Okay.
And needless to say that it went downhill from there. Yeah.
Sugar plum.
Them safe words right there.
Excuse me. Okay, so did you not even get as far as to the house or anything like that? So there was none of that complication to deal with afterwards. It was just a case of, right, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And how's your relationship now?
Frosty.
Still.
To say the least.
Really?
To say the least. We've been apart for nearly 3 years now.
Okay.
But I'm still dealing with certain things, stopping me from seeing my son, blah, blah, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it's weird for me, because obviously I'm a father who raised his son for most of his son's life in the same house with his mother and his sister. Yeah. So my son was used to seeing me every day. I'm used to seeing my son every day.
And that's how you wanted it.
That's how I wanted it.
Yeah. And that was hard to listen to. Like when you spoke about the relationship you have with your son, it was like,
I saw a video that you did with him actually, where you were sitting down on the table outside and you were having like a really beautiful chat with him.
So that was a time where me and his mother had broken up.
And I just wanted to let him know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But you're not just leaving the house.
Yeah, I'm not like a part. I'm not a part-time father. Yeah. But in this situation, it seems like she's making it difficult for me to be a father.
Even though she was in the wrong.
Yeah, it's very weird because and that's something that I struggle with. Like, what are you doing? It wasn't me.
Should have just held your hands up and said,
and
you know what?
It wasn't me. But you know, I can't. Like I said, I can't go into someone's head and try to understand exactly why they're doing what they're doing.
No, you'll never.
I just know that this is what's being done. And so, you know, I've got like family court stuff and all this kind of stuff. Like I have to go through the proper channels, and it's like, it shouldn't have to be this way.
No. That's difficult. Yeah. It's funny because I remember like my parents broke up when I was probably about 4, 5. And even though, you know, I'm sure my mum could tell you some stories about my dad and everything that maybe he would have done as a partner as opposed to a dad, we never saw that. All we saw was my dad, you know, even though he wasn't in the house, my mum would never like speak bad about him or try and make it difficult for him. If anything, she probably made it too easy for him, considering maybe what he may have done to her. And that's something that I do rate my mum for, because I think it's important, because that can have an effect. Imagine now then, that can have an effect on the child growing up then, can't it? Or children.
Well, of course. Like, I mean, I grew up without a father.
Right.
And so my whole thing for me when it came to my son was, I don't want him to go through the same thing. So it's very interesting when someone knows your weakness, how they can use it against you.
So true.
And do you know what I mean? And so, she knows that I don't want to be a part-time dad to him. She knows that if I...
just seems like it's hard work there whenever I hear these kind of stories. All right, if the father has been an absolute, you know, CUNT or whatever, or he's no good, or he's just no good for the child, you know what I mean? Maybe his whole lifestyle isn't good for the child, or there's a reason why she's keeping him away. That, you know, is another story. But it just seems like hard work to me when the woman is doing it just out of spite. Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine it. And it's like, at what point do you kind of put your child first and say, it's good for you?
Yeah.
Put my feelings aside, actually.
But then you have to ask yourself, you know, is a woman who is putting herself first anyway, because she's got a family, and then she's going outside, she's not putting the children first anyway. That is someone who's not necessarily putting the children first, because I come to find out that she was bringing the children around this guy.
I was just about to ask.
Do you know what I mean? Well, so it's like, you're not thinking about the children right now. You're thinking about yourself.
But that's quite a character. Then I think that's quite a. For me, I'm thinking, did you not see that? For me, someone to be able to do that that's quite a characteristic.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? So did you not see any like?
So this is what I said. About 6 years in is when that first thing happened, with the whole someone messaging me. So it's then I was like.
And then you lasted 4 more years after that.
So we lasted 4 more years after that. I would say 3. I would say the last year was just a whole bag of nonsense, if I'm totally honest. But
because it takes a while to sort of.
But you thought to yourself, okay, there's nothing really that I can pinpoint to say, okay,
I'm out.
So before that, after you found out, you got this message. Did things start connecting, or it was still that it was?
Yeah, certain things started. I guess I would look. You become suspicious. Do you know what I mean? And
was the guy still around as well? Do you know?
When now?
No. Like during those 4 years or the 3 years.
Yeah. I think the affair went on for like 2-3 years. Wow. Without my knowledge. When I look back on it and say, okay, it started then, because that's when I got the message and that's when I found out. So it's like, oh, she's doing that for like 2-3 years. Do you know what I mean? So it's a whole thing of what it is that you, when you're in a relationship, it's very easy. Love is a very interesting thing for me. because you do see things and negate things for the other person.
Right.
And so that's when the accountability for me came in, because I was like, do you know what? You knew something from that time, but you didn't act on it. You didn't act on it. You didn't pursue it. And so I have to take that L for myself. Do you know what I mean? And say, do you know what? If that happens again, you got to be a little bit more.
But I think subconsciously, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I would assume that you might have been doing that for your son anyway. I think.
Well, I said that on the podcast. Okay. I was saying that I didn't want to leave my son alone. Like, I was like, okay, cool, let's try and make something work. And my whole thing is I had to learn that you can never make something work for the sake of the children.
No, you so it's even more detrimental.
It's even
this week.
Right.
You can't do it, and even though. I wanted to, because that was the family unit that I never had. And so my whole thing was I wanted to build this unit that I never had and say, okay, cool, you've done it for your own children type thing.
You can still do that, you know that now, don't you? That you can, I mean, maybe you can't have it as such.
Yeah.
It won't, yours and his relationship can still be.
No, mine and his relationship is mine and my son's relationship is amazing.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 9 now. Our relationship is amazing. It's just that
that little period
little family unit that you thought in your head and the thing is, you sell yourself these dreams as well. Human beings sell themselves these dreams, like, you know, this whole 2.4 children family unit type thing with the white picket fence, and
which
all this
we're
kind
told
of stuff
that we should
that you want.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I thought I wanted. Well, and it's like, well, when it's breaking down, your mind wants to hold on to that, like, no, we can do this. And it's like, nah, you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole now.
Well, you're not the one for me, because I can't. The trust is completely
there you go.
Just been the trust is gone now. Is it liberated? What's that word? What's that word when it's like when the trust is just gone now? So there's
evaporated.
It's not that. Something else. No. You know what I mean? But once that's gone, there's no going back. Do you know?
Easy on the big words.
Easy on the big words, unless you don't know what you're doing. Unless you know what you're doing, Babs. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's like any relationship, isn't it? Friendship, any type of relationship. As soon as the trust is gone, even if you're like, you know, kind of just cementing over the cracks. Realistically, the cement's going to break down.
It's going to break
down.
It's going to break
down.
It's
just not going to work. So, so do you think then? Because usually it's the other way around, isn't it? That's how we're built. Society is that it's men usually that do some fuck shit like that,
right? Yeah,
you know? And then it's women who are destroyed and you know, affected by it, and then struggle then to move on. And when they meet another man, it's that man's then going to suffer for that woman's previous heartache and pain. How do you view that then for you, or on a man's perspective then, from when you meet somebody else now?
I just think it's just a healing process for me. You know, we haven't been together for nearly 3 years now, so like I wouldn't say it's fully out of my system, but it's like I no longer have to deal with that type of drama. Do you know what I mean? So
in terms of you then meeting someone else,
do you feel that it affects the way you look at women?
It can do. I guess for the first year or so, I just didn't want to be with anyone. But then but you know, when you have this whole thing of, okay, maybe I can make it with someone else, and I went into like a relationship quite quickly afterwards,
as we do,
like a little rebound thing, and you're like, no, I can make it work this time, and it's like, nah, you need to heal, bro.
Because that's at that point you're still kind of thinking, was it me? And I need to kind of
have the
make
validation.
Sure it wasn't me. The validation that I can do this properly, or not even properly, but I can do this.
Women do that.
But one of the things that made me realize, you know, that it wasn't me was the fact that the new guy that she got with, she did it to him too. So it was like, well, it's not just me then, is it? This is just what you do. Yeah, like this is just what you do.
Yeah, you had a bad judge of character then.
And I tell you what made it harder, because people are like, you didn't see it. I tell you what made it harder was the fact that her family were involved.
Oof. So they knew. So it was like, because when she was going to St. Lucia, she was going with her mum, her sister, her cousin.
So that's quite heartbreaking.
So when I'm saying, go to St. Lucia with your family, I got work to do.
Enjoy yourself.
Go enjoy yourself.
Did you call her my mum? Did you call her?
Yeah, like the whole thing. It was, and I was like, you guys are treacherous.
Naughty. no wonder she's on some shit.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys are treacherous. You guys backed up her whole thing.
Yeah, that's naughty.
When I was asking the sister, what's with this guy? No, family friend. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you guys are treacherous.
So that's then even more difficult now because that's your son's family, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
and after
so
10 years, that is your family.
You've just destroyed.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, because even when people break up, it would still be nice, you know, to be able to, I don't know, Christmases, birthdays. Obviously, when, you know, I'm thinking even as far as when your son gets married, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're going to be in contact with these people again.
Yeah.
So that is quite,
it's not it's not an ideal situation at all. And that's what I said. That's what made it harder to pinpoint what was going on
because she had all these extra influences.
Yeah, she had like
people that you trust.
They're backing it up. So I was like, okay, cool. So now I know that the whole of you are treacherous. So you know, I don't want to deal with any of you.
So it's really important then for you. No disrespect to them. Obviously, I don't know them or that. You know, I'm only hearing your side. Obviously, you know, but I think it's really important for you even more so to ensure that your son has, you know, your qualities, your family kind of. You know, the things that you and your family believe in. You know,
as I was raising him in my image, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the things that, you know, disheartened me is the fact that I'm not with him all the time constantly to keep him.
But whatever you do will still have, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try and have an influence on him, do you know what I mean?
100%.
So, that was just an unfortunate situation. But moving forward, you were saying, does it affect the way you see women? It makes me more cautious.
Of course, it'd be silly not to.
Yeah, it makes me more cautious.
You'd be silly not to.
And also, it makes me want to do due diligence on the family. Because I'm like, you need to know what family you're getting into.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so true. Actually, you know what?
Because you are getting into a whole new family.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Yeah, this might be a bit too much information, but I was speaking to a guy recently, and you know, I guess we're getting quite close, and he was like, you know, you are wifey marriage material, and I said to him, yeah, but you haven't met my family yet. Like, my family could be cray cray. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, well, I'm not marrying your family.
Oh, yes, you are.
Right.
Oh, yes, you are.
And I did think to myself, bro, you actually really are. Yeah, that's it.
Yes,
because I feel like, thankfully, my family are, you know, tip top. But for me, that is important. Do you know what? Yes, I would, but they genuinely...
You would say that, do you know what I mean?
No, they are. They would. My mum would be the first to be like, if I was doing that, what my girl was doing, my mum would be the first to be like, I'm calling him.
Yeah.
She would. She would. Julie would not have a bar of that stuff. So, yeah, you're right. That's what I said to him. I said, it's so important to know the family as well, because... You know, then what? I'm going to have kids with you, and now my kids are going to be influenced and involved in all your fuckery. No.
It's unfortunate. I think people need to really know. Yeah, they need to know what they're getting into. And you could fall in love with someone, and like you said, not know the family are a bunch of axe murderers. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I was with a